What's a crazy conspiracy theory you've heard of? Our government infiltrated, ran by reptilians. Celebrities who've been cloning themselves. How about flat Earth? I have another one for you. A population of people living under the moniker targeted individual. Their claims of dangerous and covert technologies, attacking and annihilating their bodies. Some of these victims, they're being forced to hear voices created by technology. Well, what makes a crazy conspiracy theory? It's just the idea. You see, beyond that, there's no substance. There's nothing to hold it together. Do targeted individuals go hand in hand with the crazy conspiracy theory? No. Once you delve deep into the research, you'll start to find facts, substance, stuff of actual merit. Their claims are substantiated. We're here to find out what's real and what's not. Let's take a look.
In the case of a microwave auditory effect, is the source is electromagnetic. So if you expose the biological tissue to a pulse of microwave energy, the tissue expands and induces a vibration. Instead of going through the middle ear, the microwave-induced vibration gets propagated to the inner ear directly, and at the inner ear is converted to electrical impulses again.
I'll start with you, Mr. Grosev. Maybe give us an idea of how this could happen in the United States. Talk us through a scenario that you've investigated, that technology and location, things that we can kind of put it into context and understand in layman's terms.
In terms of technology, I'm not an expert in the technology behind this, but I've read enough and I'm sufficiently technically minded to understand that there's more than one way to achieve this same effect on the human brain. And one of the most disturbing denials that I've seen in some of the publications leading up to our findings being published was an attempt to create the impression that no technology would allow this impact on the human brain. That is provably untrue. There have been experiments that prove that both acoustic waves, directed waves in the ultrasound, primarily the ultrasound band, but also electromagnetic directed energy, especially pulsed nanosecond energy beams in the millimeter band, through something called the Frey effect, which converts electromagnetic energy into an acoustic band wave that can be within or without or outside of the audible band, can have the same effect on the human brain, which can have long-term concussion-like symptoms, but in really traumatic degree of concussion. So that is a given, and I don't think today we have the expertise to talk about that, but there's sufficient evidence that that is possible. We also know that the Russian intelligence apparatus has worked on that, and something I would like to mention as well is that after our publication, a former member of Russia's intelligence community reached out to me and said, well, this is what we've been working on since the 80s, because we thought that the Americans were doing that to us, and we wanted to develop a counter technology for the same things.
Mr. Said, is it your belief that these attacks have happened inside the United States? And if so, can you give us some of the locations and details that you can share with us?
Yes, without a doubt, they have happened here in the United States. As I mentioned in my opening testimony, we know of quite a number, and I would say perhaps the majority of them were in the Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia area. There are also a number, particularly of FBI personnel, down in Florida. I do know of some other locations of which I can tell you more about in a more private situation, not necessarily because of classification, but for privilege of the individual client not to reveal it. But there is no doubt there have been quite a number of cases here.
Utilizes a technology that most know as voice-to-skull technology. It is a electromagnetic frequency machine, an electromagnetic frequency technology that utilizes radio frequency signals, microwave auditory effect to induce sound within the cranial cavity of the target. This makes the individual believe that they are hearing sounds and voices that are coming from within their own head, when in fact they are being beamed into their head via this technology. This technology is also used to manipulate the emotions of the individual. This technology manipulates the electrical signals in the brain, thus controlling thoughts and feelings and emotions and sensations throughout the body. It works by rewiring the brain by creating new neural pathways and destroying existing neural paths. Thus, this literally changes the way a person thinks and thus behaves. It can cause you to feel any fucking emotion at any time by artificially inducing them. This technology can be used to beam images and even motion pictures into one's brain. Images and motion pictures that are so realistic that you think you're actually watching a movie or seeing something in reality. It's like a virtual reality 3D rendering that takes place within the target's mind. The images and motion pictures manifest themselves in such a way that the target, if they are not aware that this technology is being used on them will believe that they are natural thoughts and natural images. This technology can also tap into the optical nerve of the target and the auditory system of the target, so that those monitoring the target can see what the target is seeing and hear what the target is hearing. This use of the technology was famously made public during the War on Terrorism, as the United States of America utilized it in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, where people had voice-to-skull beamed into their heads, and the targets there believed that they were actually hearing the voice of God, and they believed that Allah himself was telling them to cooperate with the Americans and tell them everything that they want to know. This same technology is now being used against American citizens in America every single day.
Hi, my name is Amy Hallam, and I'm with Amy's Audio Subliminal Acoustic Fingerprinting. What I do is analyze audio and video files that have embedded telecommunications from a criminal network or organization. But what are telecommunications? Some examples of telecommunication systems are satellites, emails, SMS messaging systems, air traffic controllers, radio relays, anything with remote controllers, different nautical vessels, aerial units, anything that can transmit, receive, or signals to an electronic device. Now, electronic devices can be anything that has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, near-field communication sensors, or chips installed into their components. From computer systems, cell phones, smart devices or appliances. They can be security cameras, camcorders, typically any form of electronic that captures audio and sound can be analyzed forensically. So my clientele base are people who police kind of refuse to help with specific cases, such as stalking or harassment. Some have cyber crimes being committed against them, such as hacking, DDoS attacks, man in the middle, trolling, or cyberbullying. My more extreme clientele are analyzing telecommunications of child human sex trafficking operations, dark web activities, drones, and weapon systems that cause symptoms of Havana syndrome, AHI, or traumatic brain injuries. Now, one type of these weapon systems that are being used around the globe using radio frequencies is called voice-to-skull technology, or voice of God weapon systems. This was created by the US Army, which is a long-range acoustic device with an active denial system. This type of weapon system is highly used around the globe by military, law enforcement, and SWAT, which is being tested on their communities for different crowds and events and crowd control purposes. Now, directed energy weapons are becoming more mainstream news and common throughout the public. My company has identified victims across the globe being attacked by radio frequencies and voice-to-skull technology. One weapon system can target 2,500 people at a time. In the UK, they have over 200 weapon systems, 100,000 victims using RF radio frequency technology, and 200,000 using voice to skull. The US has 900 weapon systems, is targeting over 750,000 civilians, 900,000 Trump supporters, and the Global Network System in Virginia has over 320 million people on radio equipment globally. Now, I've helped victims from multiple countries, from all 50 states, Canada, Mexico, Argentina, Spain, Belgium, Germany, Ireland, Scotland, China, Italy, Croatia, Iran, Iraq, India, Australia, and some people even in France. Now, this voice-to-skull technology is across the globe, and it's my job to determine how it is being transmitted, identifying different components of the criminals' network, software, their equipment that they're using, different types of servers, programming languages, frequencies, and sound waves. Now, frequencies and sound waves kind of work hand in hand with one another, especially with voice-to-skull technology. It transmits the communications into the human brain with radiation from the directed energy weapon that is being used. It's a non-lethal weapon system, which includes neural electromagnetic devices using microwave transmissions of sound into the skull of a person or animal by way of a pulse-modulated radiation using frequency control applications. Now, different components of voice-to-skull can be transmitted by using microwave auditory effects. One type is a vocoder. It was actually created in 1928. It uses electronic oscillation from a tone generator using a 10-band resonator filter with pressure keys and a foot pedal to control the pitch and the tone of the synthesized speech that is being used for that voice-to-skull technology. Another way is an artificial intelligence program that runs scripts through the electrical transmissions in the power grid. They use three-way phasers, and it connects remotely to either a wired or wireless connection. Now, using the high voltage alternate currents within that power, it can be converted to a high voltage direct current. And this connects directly into the different smart meters, homes, appliances, thermostats, light bulbs, television sets, ceiling fans, or even dimmer switches. This allows the direct access into the different modules, the capacitors, the switches, the electro-optical infrared sensors, the circuit boards for remote access. And once that remote access is gained into the operating system, the current can be controlled with a command line interface via computer. Another way is a phaser. Phasers, another directed energy weapon. It uses electronic sound processing using modulations and low frequency oscillations with lasers and particle beams. Mesh networks, connecting via Wi-Fi through optimization tactics, relays, hubs, central routers with access points. A repeater or an extender can be used in a business, distributed through the electricity. And in the mesh networks, the power supply can be pulled from the transmissions, those smart grids, those solar technologies, the Wi-Fi, and even Internet of Things. When neural networks are used, are through neural oscillation, and these are used with synchronized patterns produced by the neurons in the brain. They connect directly into the spinal cord and autonomic nervous system. Now, the phase range within the neural networks connects to the transmission and the power grid, while the receiving phase connects to the upstream inputs for visual feeds, optical nerves, and live streaming capabilities. Using neural networks do destroy the neurons in the brain and cannot be regrown, causing early Alzheimer's, memory loss. Some of the clients have had concussions or seizures and even permanent brain damage from it. I did help one time a retired New Jersey police chief identify a hacker connecting into his Ring security camera. They were using a blue laser from an airplane with a TDL button, where a three-way phaser is built into the engine for that power supply for the laser technology to connect remotely to that Ring system. Another victim that I helped, I identified the hackers using a Pokemon script, connecting into the Windows operating system, remotely accessing the Microsoft's GS wavetable synthesizer and RRAS root enumerator in the computer software devices within the device management system. Now, With voice-to-skull, voice synthesizers, chatbots, ChatGTP, artificial intelligence, voice modulation, kernel speech components, and human-computer interface systems in the graphic user interface are highly used for that voice-to-skull technology. Meta actually uses software called Metaphone that uses speech to text, text to speech, and voice recognition through their installed biometric data collection, and that's connected through the video and microphone components inside of a cell phone. Now, every electronic device has hidden features within just the video output components that have Doppler radar, LiDAR detection. Some have heterodyning transmissions in there. They have oscillator signals, intermediate and subcarrier frequencies, which are used for video bandwidth, GPS tracking, and quadrature amplitude modulation. Now, QAM doubles the bandwidth and is mainly used by military and law enforcement, along with amateur radio enthusiasts with their ham and virtual ham operations. This is how I identify the frequencies and the vector fields from the satellites, the drones, the weapon systems, the nautical vessels, and hosting sites for the criminals' trafficking operations from their telecommunications using RF technology. Now, I want to show you something. Within the visual spectrums from a thermal tomography scan that I performed, which proves radiation inside the human body from a cell phone device, the spectral images are of a client of mine, Enrico Nietzschmann, who used to work for the FBI and the United Nations during the East and West German conflicts for their Soviet campaigns after World War II. Now, when the phone call was made, there was significant changes along the ear and the chin. There's an outline of the phone from the heat and the radiation. The speaker of the phone connected to the pulse site within the body, affecting the jugular, esophagus, tongues, and lips from the speech components. The thyroid gland became inflamed. It was enlarged and expanded, and the heat and the microwaves traveled along the optical radiation path into the primary visual cortex. With proper examination, there are two linear arrays with pulses that travel to the top of the ear, where the camera was located into the thyroid gland from the speaker. This is a perfect example of how voice-to-skull technology from a cell phone works, using built-in proximity sensors and access from the microphone and camera functions. And these are just some avenues of how voice-to-skull technology works and connects into the human brain. I've discovered over 100 different ways to connect with electronic devices. And it's my job to help the victims of Havana syndrome, trafficking operations, and voice-to-skull technology identify how the directed energy weapons are being used with the technology so that they could get help from law enforcement or federal agencies without being falsely Baker Acted.
So Hello, my name is Brandon Iglesias. My background is a chemical engineer in undergrad, and I got a master's in finance and business, and I was working on a PhD in geochemistry with geothermal at University of Nevada, Reno Wolfpack, before I decided to go and fully launch my startup called ReactWell in 2012, and I've been building it since. I'm here today to talk about what I got nailed with in 2022, which is a type of neuro weapon that's based upon audio-video communications nanotechnology, as well as weaponized pathogen nanotechnology. And there aren't many people that are aware of this. I like to call it wetware. It's basically a hybrid between software and hardware with a biological system. And also utilizes something called synthetic biology. Not many people are aware of this. It's very gnarly. It's utilized in the world's most advanced industrial espionage spying technology. And it completely caught me and my company off guard by piercing basically all the national security systems in America and NATO. And we traced it back with high confirmation to CCP. We turned down money in 2021 from China, CCP, and also Russia. It's definitely from BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, and China. China is very sly. They put their name last. It's really just China screwing over the whole BRIC system with their audio-video communications nanotechnology, to put it simply. So I was doing work active for the Army and for the Air Force, and in 22, when Russia invaded Ukraine, is when I got shot up with this junk in New Orleans, Louisiana, in the United States of America. And my lab is it was off of 1441 Canal Street, New Orleans, Louisiana. Lab 301 and 302 and 303 were kind of the area that I worked out of from the building. And the electronics benches where I'd work out of for one of the labs, I got nailed on the whole left side of my head through a window where I was getting key signaled and activated. And I got nailed at my condo as well. And it's a two-part system, the audio-video communications nanotechnology. Part of it gets installed in the vagus nerve system in the ear. So when you put your phone up on your ear, the industrial spy tech is doing a data in the flow intercept and then relaying the stuff back to CCP AI. And then it builds out further, integrates into your visual cortex, it can integrate into your olfactory, and it pops up same antennas through your skull to do TX, RX for transmissions and receiving. And it's a very gnarly, fast-growing system, the CCP system. It's fungal-based. From my reverse engineering it and working myself out of what I call the China trap. Because once this junk gets in you, everything around you gets contaminated with it. It's extremely hard to work yourself out of it once you're in the fog of what I call neuro war. And CCP, their PLA military strategy is to do a surround and enclose on their adversaries, which are all democratic nations, basically NATO. And they don't care. They spy on you, they steal the information. They tried to do something on me called conversion terrorism, where they would basically try to weaponize an American inside of America to do damage to other Americans. It didn't work. I caught it. It just didn't make sense what was happening in my life at the time. And then I have enough skill set and enough signals, fundamental background already to reverse engineer where this stuff was coming from that was messing with me by isolating it at different locations, utilizing silver nickel materials, using a vendor called Mohs Equipment that has mil-spec SIGINT technologies to block stuff. And I blocked everything. Like, I even used a magnetic field to isolate from the ELF, from the CCP psionic ELF, and that's when I came to the determination the junk was inside of me. And that's when I started looking at equipment to move the paramagnetic material out of me. And I got a ton of samples of it. So it's definitely audio, video, communications, nanotechnology. And then I tooled up my skill set and added, because I already had DNA and genomics background, I added some DNA transmitters for the magnetic field based off of Konstantin Mell's work in Germany. So I've got roughly 8 to 10 channels of DNA TX running, just nailing this crap at a DNA molecular weight, genomic level to clean up my genome, and then also at the harmonic fundamental frequencies and then subharmonic frequencies. I've also been using PEMF H field hardware that pulses at a spike. So it's not really a square wave, it's just a straight up spike. And the different frequencies that correspond to subharmonics of the paramagnetic junk, it'll rip it out. Using that in combination with a magnetic vortex system actually helps to remove it faster, all the macro scale junk. And then having the DNA TX in the background. So all this sounds very foreign if you're not familiar with nanotechnology, but put it this way. Spying is so advanced, they basically got wiretaps inside of your body, and China has a tech, America has a tech, and it's part of 5th and 6th generation warfare. You can go to the Army's website. They've got a website by TARDEC, T-A-R-D-E-C. It's called the Mad Scientist Laboratory website. And Robert McCreight at National Defense University has done some good work, publishing a lot of papers on neurostrike. Then you also have the CCP Bioweapons Initiative that's out there. And then James Giordano also has a lot of good publications on YouTube if you want to read up about this stuff. But it's all non-invasive. And I got dosed with it, I think, when I gave the CCP delegation a tour in Los Angeles as part of the City of Los Angeles's request of me. My company, Reactwell, we built out the nation's largest, most advanced clean technology prototyping facility and testing labs for the nation's largest municipality water and power utility, LEDWP. So I had the honor, I was grateful to give John Holdren, science advisor to the POTUS, a tour. And then when the CCP delegation came around, I think they were dosing a lot of the people and a lot of the innovation sites in America with this tech, because there's a whole management changeover of the whole group that was running the Lacretz Innovation Campus as well in downtown Los Angeles. And I would say their brain initiative in China was in 2016. And, before that, I still think they mess with people that visited China. Like, I studied at Tsinghua University in, circa 2010 during a study abroad. And I guarantee you they got dirt on a lot of the people that went there in the hotel rooms and whatnot. And they might have been dosing people then, at that point in time, as far back as 2010. In 2013, America did our brain initiative, the Obama brain initiative in 2013. So that's, another time where I might have gotten dosed, because I participated in the Kauffman Global Scholar Program in Kansas City, where a lot of intelligence community is at. They had about a dozen of us from around the world in NATO nation states, or possibly entering NATO. And it's probably Kauffman. I don't know if anyone on here is familiar with Kauffman Foundation, but it's a multi-billion-dollar foundation founded by Mr. K, who donated a lot of his wealth from the pharmaceutical industry. And they selected a group of high-capacity individuals in hard science and engineering in 2013. I was one of them. So that's probably the first time I got dosed with a lot of this audio-video communications nanotechnology, where I then studied at Harvard, MIT, up there in the Northeast Coast area. Then in Chicago, in Urbana-Champaign, and then out west in Silicon Valley, StarDex, NASA Ames, Singularity University, which everyone knows Ray Kurzweil, with Google, and Futurist. Hybrid synthetic biology and biological systems. And then the Palo Alto area, 500 startups, Paul Singh and whatnot. But anyways, my point being is America has this tech. It's called and not many people know the name of it. It's called Audio Video Communications Nanotechnology. It's abbreviated with an acronym CNT, Charlie Nancy Tango. And that's basically what's used by over 20 groups globally now. Big tech firms, international organized crime, like the triads that work for China, CCP, they're using this crap to mess with America. The audio video communications nanotechnology. Organized crimes use it for a while. It's nothing new to them. But the use by China and the triads with this fast-growing fungal hybrid scaffold material is a whole new variable in everyone's defensive systems now for biosecurity and synbiosecurity. In my professional opinion, in 19, when the whole SARS-CoV-2 thing came out, all that is, that spike protein, that's a smart bioweapon. You can have two different frequencies, one that activates a spike and one that deactivates a spike. And then that spike, once it's activated, it shreds cells and membranes and it builds like a protein plaque. And that serves as a scaffold and a matrix for then all this other junk to start growing inside of a person's body, such that the audio-video communications nanotechnology system can then actually start tooling up a body with that base material, whether it's going to be weaponized pathogen nanotechnology, or if it's actually going to be motor cortex up of an entire person. And that term, just for everyone's knowledge, it's called a surrogate. Surrogate is a person in another nation state that gets this audio-video nanotechnology put in their body non-invasively, and it grows out into the motor cortex system, and it basically dial up a soldier in another nation state to do some damage, and that's what CCP's been doing to America. We've got it. What do you think the Arab Spring was? That was America. Now CCP's applying the same weaponry on us. It's just 5th and 6th generation warfare. It is what it is, but I think key people are getting hit with it hard. Like, I'm a CTO role, and the Defense Industrial Base is a prime and a Department of Energy prime, and they put their mark on me and try to take my ass offline, but figured out how to get it out of me to an extent to where I'm coherent. I can function again and continue to build what I was working on before. But by all means, it's a very effective sneak attack if you're not aware of it. But once you're aware of it, the effectiveness of the weapon goes away. Now, getting it out of you, that's a whole nother ball game. And you could go to my website, reactwell.com. And the project that we built was Project Electrostasis. That's ELECTROSTASIS.com. And we've got equipment on there. There's a service you can subscribe to, and it's enabled me to reach this point to where I'm coherent. I can function again. My brain works. I guess one action you can take from listening to this, which will help everybody out, dump any smartphone that has a SIM card in it, dumpster fire it. Don't give it to anyone else because it's totally insecure these days. And get an eSIM smartphone and make sure that sucker is on a 5G plus millimeter wave network, and that'll help keep you secure. SIM cards are completely useless now, completely insecure. Don't ever use a SIM card and tell all your friends and family to get rid of it. Also, Apple City, China is compromised. Not many people know this, but the whole M1 Bionic chipset in the Apple smartphones, all that got hacked by the CCP PLA. So if you're using an Apple that's made in China City, it's high probability CCP has backdoor into that phone, and the Bionic chipset, that's neurotechnology that interfaces with your brain. And CCP did their brain initiative in 2016. So if you're using an Apple phone, it's a high probability CCP, PLA, and the BRICS have access to all your information through that smartphone, especially if it's a Motorola smartphone. Other takeaway, which is an action, if you hear anyone recommending to utilize a Lenovo laptops and computers or Motorola smartphones, that's a red flag that person is pro-China and possibly linked and networked up with this audio, video, communications, nanotechnology to China's artificial intelligence bio-cyber-physical system, such that they're literally just programmed to recommend junk that's pro-China.
Headshot. Silence. Die.
Hello everybody, what I'm about to show is the Safe and Sound Pro 2 meter picking up illegal transcranial stimulation and radiofrequency torture. What's going to be happening, our data is being harvested and stolen constantly. So while we're being targeted and tortured, there's advanced large data set analytics being run on us, essentially logging all of this. So this is a true evolution of MKUltra, where we're being tortured and tested on, and it's all logged. Every single thing we search, every single thing we say, every single thing we do, every bowel movement we have, every thought we have, unfortunately, it is being logged, and it's being disclosed now, not from just one source, not from two sources. We've got Dr. Anna Maria Myhalcia and Dr. David Nixon coming together as peers, analyzing the same vaccine, making the same determination that is contaminated with self-assembly nano. I had just recently started taking this, and my stomach has been better than it has been in years. So just a 0.25 milligrams of that, or milliliters of that, which is just a teeny amount of that dropper in your water once a day, has been helping me dramatically. And now I'm going to show, I'm going to start this timer, turn this meter on. Turn it off, and it's talking very heavily on the microphone. And now the beam's on again. Now the beam is on again here. Okay, let me reset it. So it is right now. Again right there. Now it's off. Here it is again. Now it's off. Now here it is again. And this entire time it's got microwave auditory effect inside of this as well. So this is probably a transcranial stimulation and a tracking beam. This one that's 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off. And then this entire time, this pulsing and fluctuation that you're hearing is microwave auditory effect. That's a constant modulated voice message from a chatbot that's being transmitted at me. It's a conversation that's being read into all the information that the system is gathering to then harass me about what's happening in my life, what I'm thinking about doing, to the point where if I'm thinking about tomorrow, this system will start harassing me about what I'm thinking about tomorrow. So that's how advanced the system is, and this is exactly why somebody that knows nothing about this type of thing is tortured so terribly by this type of thing. And then if you think about how evil that is, if they try to innocently go to a web browser and try to say, oh my god, what the heck is happening to me? And then the searches are moderated, not just because of monetary gain, but also to hide this, to keep this corruption going. And what just happened with Julian Assange? Being a journalist, he was tortured for numerous different years, and I was waiting for him to say something about how he was hit with these PSYOPs weapons. But maybe he will discuss that soon, as people in this community knows that this is what the government does to people. They do it to us randomly, so they're definitely going to do it to well-known whistleblowers too. So here it's coming in really strong on my left side of my head. That's just a constant one right there. So that one's 100% just cranked on and left on. So inside of that, you hear the beam still, the one that was every 5 seconds. But this is clearly a constant stream that's being hit in my head to give transcranial stimulation. And it links my brain and every single thing that I'm doing to these corrupt entities that are utilizing this remote neural monitoring, voice-to-skull, advanced surveillance technology. And it's just a fact, is I'm experiencing symptoms, receiving this, I have an extreme reduction in symptoms, if not all of my symptoms disappear. When you acknowledge what is truly happening, you get extreme relief in symptoms. If not, they will all disappear while you're absorbing it. It's not like if I take this down, now the rest of the day is going to be good. Maybe it'll be a little bit less severe because they recognize that at any point in time I can stop what I'm doing, make a 10-minute video like this, and further expose truly what's happening. So what you see right now is discrete sonic/radio frequency torture, manipulation, and influence. This is transcranial stimulation. This is voice to skull. This is RF hearing. This is a variation of Frey effect. So in Dr. James C. Lynn's book, The Auditory Effects of Microwave Radiation, he talks about the phenomenon of microwave auditory effect. He talks about his study and the studies of the U.S. government at Walter Reed Army Institute of Research and Technology in the 1960s. And in the 1960s, they were using 2.4 gigahertz. So 2.4 gigahertz is a range from 2 gigahertz all the way to 3 gigahertz, and right in the middle of it, 2.4 gigahertz, is a range that has been proven to work for microwave auditory effect. It's no coincidence. It is no coincidence that every single human being has a Wi-Fi unit in their house, for the most part, that is kicking out exactly that same frequency. Now, Dr. James C. Lynn and other affiliated scientists determined that this phenomenon still works at higher frequencies. So going up to 5G, that phenomenon still occurs. Now, what you're looking at right now is significantly lower frequency. Okay? This sound is being created right now from ultrasonic and infrasonic activity that is then creating audio at a different range. So there is a transmitted radio frequency or ultrasonic value coming from the communications infrastructure most of the time, and then satellites and drones have the capabilities as well. And what's happening is through a scientific phenomenon, there's a beam of radio frequency transmitted at us, a constant beam transmitted at us, and then this sonic phenomenon occurs. There's a sonic phenomenon that occurs from microwave auditory effect that creates pressure waves inside of our heads. And then there's additional audio phenomenon that are occurring. So one of the audio phenomenon occurring is microwaves can create infrasound. So infrasound is low frequency sound. It is fear sounds, a lion's roar, a jet rumbling. And infrasound, you can't always hear all of it. There are mysterious things that happen in infrasonic ranges. There's resonance capabilities there. And then when that's utilized, in addition to ultrasound, this is a modern neural phone in addition to V2K. So it's not just communicating directly to a person with no one else being aware that it's occurring. It is also interfering with their soul, with their subconscious, with their sub-vocalized thought. So when people are singled out, targeted with this technology, like what happened in Desert Storm, with the opposition at the time being hit with this technology to make them think what happened? To make them think God was talking to them. Now we've got incidents in the United States that occurred. If you watch First 48, a whole season of First 48, you'll see that there's a person about every episode that thinks the devil's talking to them. Well, I theorize that could be the same technology in a different application. Or potentially a very, very, very secretive, corrupt group that profits from creating chaos in communities.
What you just saw was the tip of the iceberg. We just wanted to establish that the microwave auditory effect is real. Let's check out some patents, see what else has been developed.
This is directly from the United Nations.
Greetings. My name is Damon R. Jones, Chief Damon R. Jones. I'm retired Chief of Police and other government operations in law enforcement and otherwise of 44 years retired. I'm also a minister of the gospel, 47 years. I live in East Texas, and I also have 46 years in special government operations, training and living, etc. Maybe one person targeting you, it may be a group of people targeting you, or it may be a government entity targeting you. It may be a private corporation like pharmaceuticals. Well, I knew about these weapons per se in 1986 and probably before, but I asked some of my contacts in the military, and one of the guys was a real know-it-all guy. And I'm not saying that funny. He really knew what he was talking about. And he could point you to proof positive. So he said these weapons have been used since World War II in various capacities and in various designs, etc. But they were designed for the overseas military theater of operation, never to be used on American soil, never to be used against Americans, ever. But this slips out into the private sector because you retire. You retire and you go to work for some defense contractor and you develop this. So theoretically, you can do different things and lease it or sell it back to the military. You can sell it to a pharmaceutical company, private individuals, so forth and so on. And it all has to do with frequencies. And the Federal Communications Commission has the authority to investigate and prosecute anybody that is outside of the lawful bounds in frequencies, and or that's not an assigned frequency to them, or secure frequencies. So I know this firsthand. I've worked with, in the last 4.5, getting close to 5 years, I've worked with 1,200 plus victims. I have looked at medical examination records, diagnostic records. I've talked to scientists, engineers, counselors, family members. I've looked at sworn affidavits. And who are some of the targets? Well, as you might guess, street people, people that are homeless. They're an easy target to either get them to do things for them or to be used by them for experimentation. But it's not just that. There's cops, there's judges, there's legislative members, military overseas theater of operation. And it was so that you could talk, or the technologies could be used by the government military to talk directly to soldiers to drop their arms and surrender. Them believing it's the voice of God, they most usually did. So none or very little bloodshed compared to a bloodbath. These technologies have escaped into the private sector, private military groups, and quite honestly, evildoers and people that want to make unrighteous gain. So this is where, say you want somebody to commit horrific acts, and they get these voices in their head, and psychiatrists automatically say they're mentally ill. That's not the case in these victims of V2K. So people have used it for numerous evil and bad purposes, and it's as real as I am here breathing. I have interviewed people that suspected this is what was going on, and they have had diagnostic testing and vetting by medical doctors and psychologists, psychiatrists, and the like, and they've gone through their whole history. For example, you got a man or woman 40 or 50 years old, absolutely, completely stone cold sane as a rock, and they've had very well productive lives. They have no history of mental illness whatsoever. Their family has no history of any such thing. They're not taking any medications that have these types of side effects. And then out of nowhere, and in some of these cases documented, they challenged the military or a government entity or were a whistleblower or other things. And in short order, they start hearing these voices. Well, that's what they call the common man doctrine, or common knowledge, self-evident truth, that reasonable, sensible, logical deduction says if none of the signals, and when I say signals, I don't mean frequencies, none of the signals, none of the information, none of the raw data, none of the individual specific data on multiple thousands of points show that this person should be naturally, normally experiencing any of this. And they didn't until they challenged a authority or they become useful, such as in a mass shooting incident. I'm not saying that all or any one of these particular were, but I'm not ruling it out and I'm not taking it off the table either. This is a common sense logic, normal reason, logic, and deduction. If all the things that could create this problem are ruled out, and this is the only thing left, that's pretty well a self-evident truth, as the founders of America said. It's so obvious it needs no explanation. So I would say probably maybe as many as 400 of my 1,200 plus clients have given me testimony. This has happened to them. Probably 60, maybe more, have provided me with medical diagnosis. They have been hooked up to all type of apparatus to scan their brains. Some of them had a multi-day session where they live on site and these electrodes are connected to their brain. It tells their brain, central nervous system, it tells everything. Keeps rhythm with their heart, their pulse, their vitals, everything in a secure facility. And then they can punch a button or otherwise alert them when they're getting these messages. And they can take that and compare it to the scope and see abnormalities and how these are coming. And they can detect an outside source infiltrating the facility, getting to the individual. And they don't fortify the facility electronically so that this can normally pass through. Brain mapping, I understand the generality, and I've had doctors and scientists, engineers explain things to me. And while I understand, it's hard for me to extrapolate it out to you, but it's real. And there are people that are honest scientists, honest engineers, honest doctors in various disciplines. And I have met with them in council. I've met with people at numerous off-grid locations, all times of the day and night, and they all have their safety protocols because they're rightly worried they could be targeted also, or their families, or financially assets stripped. So a lot of heinous things that go on have to do with V2K. It's real. I've talked to military veterans that have experienced it. I've talked to judges, lawyers, doctors, housewives, soccer moms, stay-at-home dads, whatever your vernacular is. It's people across society. Nobody's exempt from it. So when that individual deprives you of a civil liberty, that's deprivation of civil rights. It's a federal crime. When two or more people are doing it, it's a conspiracy to deprive civil rights. That's another federal crime. There's an enhancement for that. This is horrific. It's evil. It's illegal. It's a violation of human rights and human dignity. And I'm asking everybody in the United States and around the world to step forward and call it what it is. Everybody knew I'm straight as an arrow. I took an oath, and the oath means what it said, and it doesn't have any expiration date. And I was given that oath many times for many purposes. And I said, I will not break my oath to we the people. They're my boss. They pay my salary. And if I see others going against it, I'll rat you out. I'm telling you right now to your face, I'll rat you out. I'll burn you down to the knees, legally. You pray for me and my family and my ministry, and I'm praying for all of you. God bless you, and live a happy and safe life as best as you can, and do that which is right and just.
What's making? No. What's making? It's all about
Hi, my name is Autumn Maddox, and I am a targeted individual, and I am in Texas at this time. I've been advocating to other victims. I'm a survivor of voice-to-skull technology, which is very, very real, and the microwave auditory effect. I have lost my vision because of this technology being used on me. I was coerced into suicide several times because of the same technology, with the quote-unquote voice of God or voice of dead relatives and friends that weren't so dead, coercing me into suicide, even to the extent of trying to drink antifreeze, trying to persecute me, put me down for things, degrade me. I am a survivor, I'm a warrior, and I decided to do something about it and try to find other targeted individuals and help them as much as I could. In the process of this long journey, I've also found that I have implants in my body, and I had a scan done, and they found 4 implants which are connected to semiconductors, which can explain a lot. It also shows that there's two-way communication on me and a GPS locator, which means that they know where I am and can have voice-to-skull technology making me, quote-unquote, hear voices. So many people that have had people say that they're schizophrenic or have psychosis need to realize that that is not the truth. The truth is that this technology has been terrorizing and ruining and torturing people's lives across America and around the world. Please wake up, everybody, and realize this technology is not only real, it's been the reason that a lot of people have lost their lives, been incarcerated, institutionalized, incapacitated, or been called crazy and lost their families, their friends, and been gaslighted for things they didn't have fault for. It is the worst feeling in the world when you feel your life has been lost because of lies and because of greed. When people come after you and steal everything you've had in your life down to your family's ashes, you realize this is a cult-like thing. It is witchcraft, it is demonic, it can be government, it can be anything. But you need to realize that a lot of people that are affected by this don't even know what happens to them until it's too late to save their relationships with people. My entire life at this time is devoted to trying to help other people get their lives seen for what has happened to them and try to get them back into at least a normal life. Realize that people around you that seem like they're crazy, they're not crazy. It's the technology that's been used on them. We've been fooled by a government, by people that don't care, and by a lot of really sadistic, masochistic people. God bless you guys. Have a great day.
Hello, everyone. I'm David Atkins. I'm a target individual. Been targeted since 2012, and to be honest with you, my targeting started when all these different cars started following me around. I started getting V2K beamed in my head when I walked out of a motel one night, saying it was my wife's voice and her friend's voice saying, "Look, he don't even know what to do. He can't even get into the hotel because they wouldn't check me in." You know, my name's been slandered everywhere. My friends just left me. My family just left me. I was homeless on the street 6 or 7 years because of this. 3 suicide attempts, serious suicide attempts. I didn't want to live no more. You know, I didn't understand what was going on. I thought I was going crazy, and I just didn't care about living. So, you know, I had 3 serious attempts, no fake attempts, in the hospital, 2 blood transfusions. One time I was in a coma for 5 days. So very serious stuff going on. I thought the world hated me. I didn't understand what was going on. I thought I was going crazy because I started hearing certain people's voices and chatterbots in my ear at all the time. And then I started getting heated up really bad. And one time I remember when they first started hitting me, I was walking on a sidewalk. To the left is the grass, to the right is the road. And what they would do is when I stepped on to the left in the grass, they would hit me 10 times worse. When I stepped on the sidewalk, it would lighten up again. When I walked in the road, it would stop. So I was walking in the middle of the road, got thrown in a mental hospital because of that. So you know what I'm saying? I got to thinking one time, then I was in the airport and got hit with something heavy. I don't know what they were hitting me with, fell out, and I was blocked for 35 days, had a catheter in me. But anyway, what I'm saying is all this running around, and I couldn't find myself or nothing. And you know, then my handler sent me a text message that said community policing by James Harkin. And that talks about gang stalking and community policing and what it is. And that's how I started learning what was going on. So anyway, after years of hell, being homeless, blacklisted, no jobs, churches turned me down for clothes, no food, homeless shelters even turned me down. Some of them took me, stalked everywhere I go, gaslit, noise campaigns, been through it all. After going through all that, you know, and having an opportunity when I was in the hospital for 35 days, I said, you know what? I'm going to start a YouTube channel to educate people about what's going on, because this is serious. And if I'd have had this YouTube channel and knew that I wasn't going crazy, knew for a fact that I wasn't going crazy and this was a targeting program and I'd been put on this list to die or whatever they're going to do to me, then I would have never, it would have saved me the trouble of killing myself, or trying to, my 3 attempts, because I would have knew I wasn't going crazy and stuff. Now I just try to not react. I try to expose as much as this. I'm interviewing targets. I've interviewed over 50 targets, at least over 50 targets. And, you know, everything I'm learning is every story has something in common with the other story. And I know it's no coincidence that, you know, all these people are going through the same thing I am. And I really think it's helping targets be able to watch videos and be able to relate with people, because, you know, when you're a target, you feel like you're the only person in the world going through this and you're alone and nobody cares and stuff like that. So I feel like building that platform has just helped me, you know, helping others, just kind of like the AA. When you help others, it helps you. So I really think it helps me get out of myself and stops me from focusing on the negative. And I'm just going to keep on doing interviews and keep on staying positive. And, you know, for me, I stay in prayer. I use Psalms, very powerful Psalms, 91 and 109, and just try not to react. I also, for the V2K, use controlled breathing, pan music, and multitasking really helps me throw this stuff off. So God bless all TIs out there going through this. I can feel your pain. I know what you're going through. And let's just hope one day this stuff ends. God bless.
Hi, my name is Joshua Lee Kearns, and I, at the time of this recording, live in San Pablo, California. I have every reason to believe that there are in fact technologies which exist that can cause an individual to hear voices. Due to the totality of my experiences, I have every reason to believe that I am in fact a targeted individual, and there are in fact technologies being used on me. I don't know when my targeting started, nor when the technologies which I have reason to believe are being used on me were first introduced into my targeting. However, when I became conscious of what was taking place, I began to search for answers. My search to find an explanation for what I was and currently am experiencing took me to different parts of the San Francisco Bay Area, Southern California, Utah, Florida, Washington, D.C., Texas, and Idaho. This journey eventually led me to making contact and meeting with individuals who will later provide me with what I have every reason to believe is evidence. This evidence includes being advised, after being scanned with equipment, that the equipment showed radio frequencies were in fact being used on me. This included a signal which was captured that I recall being advised was in the ultra-high frequency band. In addition to the signal that was captured, I recall being advised there was an active pulse found to be present in the upper quadrant of the left side of my body. That is the area of my left shoulder to my left ear. In addition to what I recall were the radio frequency scans of my body, I also had what I recall were thermal imaging scans of my body as well. I recall the thermal imaging showed high amounts of infrared energy coming from the left side of my head, the bottom of my cap, the base of my neck, and from the left side of my abdomen. I recall, in addition to the high amounts of infrared energy, there was also microwave radiation that was picked up as well. According to the findings of one individual who had earned their PhD in biophysics at the University of California, Berkeley, there were microwaves associated with my upper thoracic spine and the right side of my back just above the hip. In addition to the radio frequency scanning and the thermal imaging, I also had what I'll define as medical diagnostic testing. This testing included polysomnography test, QEEG testing, an audiological evaluation, and a goggles test. The goggles test, along with the audiological evaluation, were carried out at the University of Miami in 2023. I recall I was advised the results of the goggles test showed that I had a damage pattern, and the data from the audiological evaluation showed that there was a difference in what I recall was the hearing pressure in my left ear as opposed to my right ear. In addition to these findings, I recall I was advised the polysomnography testing I had in 2023 showed a subtle difference in my brain waves from the results of the polysomnography testing I had in 2020. Additionally, I was advised the QEEG test I had in 2024 showed that I had a hypercoherent delta. Reflecting back on the active pulse being present in the area of my left ear, along with the high infrared energy coming from the left side of my head, along with the left side of my abdomen, I now question if in fact my visits to the University of California, San Francisco in what I recall was 2013 and 2014 due to pain and hearing loss in my left ear, along with my visit to the University of California, San Francisco in 2014 due to pain in my abdomen, may in fact be evidence of technology being used on me at that time. In addition to the scanning, the imaging, and the medical test, I also obtained a peace officer, law enforcement officer's, practitioner's professional opinion from who I have every reason to believe is a retired police chief. There is a statement within the opinion which states that I am absolutely a targeted individual. I feel the evidence I have accumulated, even though it may not be absolute, in my opinion is heavy weighted, and it supports my claim that I am in fact a targeted individual, and it's far more likely than not that technologies are in fact being used on me. I have every reason to believe there are in fact individuals out there who can assist me with finding relief from what I am experiencing. And I have faith that when the time is right, that path will open to me, and I'll not only find relief, but start the healing process from the trauma that I've endured.